Cavalier faithful, welcome on into the Cleveland Pulse YouTube channel. Playoff basketball is back in the land. Another home series, second year in a row for a home series in Cleveland as far as the NBA playoffs. Our Cavaliers facing up against the Magic. First game, game number 1, April 20th. That's this Saturday. Time is to be determined, waiting for the NBA to figure it out. I think it kind of depends on playing games which are happening today and tomorrow. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to fit it all in here. We're going to give you series predictions. We're going to wrap up the regular season predictions. We're going to talk who's the X factor, the overall matchup in general. But first, I want to start with Justin because I think this is an interesting point. I'm not sure how much you watched the Charlotte game, but you see this big controversy online, the Twitterverse, the Bird app, about the Cavs threw the game on purpose. They were afraid of, potentially getting the 2 seed because Milwaukee and New York were both losing their games, that, there was still a chance that we could have went into the 2 seed if those things, could have went certain ways. I just want to hear your thought more from like a fan perspective. Like, do you think that that's something they talked about? Was JB like getting informed on the sideline? We need to do this to have this better first round matchup. I want to hear about that. And then I want to hear your thoughts about it in general. Like, does it bother you? Do you care less? Go ahead.
I think personally, I don't care, to be honest. I'll just be that straight up honest. But my professional opinion on it is I don't think unless these guys and, more and more now people come out and say things about players and coaches and whatnot. So maybe one day, if JB gets fired or something, we'll hear about it from one of these guys. But for me personally, I think unless you're tanking in the NBA, actually tanking for picks, there's not that kind of serious watching unless you're I don't know, not even in college are you kind of like that unless you're looking for the Sweet 16 for the March Madness stuff. But at that point, for me, I think these guys are just about hey, you're getting a matchup between Indiana or the Sixers or any of these teams that at this point, you have to be able to beat the Magic. You have to be able to beat Indiana. You have to be able to beat 76ers at this point. You have to be able to beat. And so for me, I just didn't care. I didn't interact in it with that much. And I just thought it was kind of one of those overblown things. It's really, they were hurt. They didn't have guys play. And then they got hurt even more in that game. And you played G League players. So
fair enough. Okay. So, because it's interesting. I think I'll have to go back and look at our uploads. I'm almost certain I mentioned, strategizing to be a certain seed. I don't know if I said anything Cavs specific, but I said maybe Miami might wants to play, fall or whatever it was more or less, maybe teams don't care about the plan if they think that they're good enough to do this and do that, depend on injuries. Logan, same question to you. Were you watching the end of this game? Did you feel like it was kind of hey, we're going to put out a purposely bad lineup out there, or are you on the same page as Justin?
Here's my thought process. Similar to Justin, I don't care. Again, is there people that are out there and saying, "Oh, they quit on the Charlotte Hornets game"? I don't care, man. But what I think happened is going into the game. The Cavaliers in the very beginning thought we don't really care about this game because if you're a Cavaliers player, a Cavaliers coach, or anything, you're probably thinking, "Okay, the Knicks are going to win today. The Bucks are going to win today." I think at the end of the day, you're thinking these two teams are going to try to win their games because they're fighting for that second or third seed, which is important to some people. We've talked about all year. We don't really care exactly where we finish. We'd like a home series is kind of where we stood. I think it's kind of where the Cavaliers stood. They got their home series. So for me, I think once it got to that, I think they want to get some burn, right? Get these guys some burn. When you get to the fourth quarter, do we really care about winning? Do we really care about losing? Not really. What do we care about? Not getting injured, because all season we've been injured.
True.
So for me, I don't think they quit. I don't think they were playing a certain way to get a certain team. I do think just going into the game, they just thought, I don't really care about this game because we could win this game. Knicks could win, Bucks could win. We're still going to be the 4th seed. It's not going to change anything. I think that's what would have happened, right? I want to make sure I'm not speaking out of turn there. But I think it was genuinely just a game where we have our series locked up. It's going to be the Magic, it's going to be the Pacers. We can't even control who our opponent is going to be at the end of the day. We could have gone the second seeding, still gotten the Sixers or a team like that. I don't think there's any matchups that we were ultimately like looking forward to. Like all of those people who are saying, yes, we got the Magic. Don't sleep on this Magic team. You know, this is a team that we have struggled with in the past, not just the Magic. I'm talking about teams who are young, teams who can rebound, who are hungry, who are more physical.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not going to be an easy series, and we'll get into that. But to answer your question, Jeffrey, yeah, I just think the mindset going in was let's play clean basketball. Let's not get hurt. Couldn't even do that. CPJ went down with an injury, which that stinks. You never know when you might just need somebody to pop off your bench and give you something in the playoffs. So,
most definitely.
But yeah, once you get to the third quarter, guys got their burn. We don't really care if we win or lose this game. Let's run out some guys and finish this one off.
Here's my thoughts. Couple thoughts here on this. I agree with Justin's line of thinking when it comes to you're never going to like know the truth. Like if JB was getting fed information or if there was, you know, some sort of safety valve put in place, like, hey, we're going to scoreboard watch. You're never going to know that until, you know, someone gets fired, moves on, goes to a different team, whatever. But I will say, trying to be fair all around in the situation, it just was not the best optics. The Knicks are losing, the Bucks are losing, and this was a game that we were pretty much winning all game. Like it wasn't like it was a back and forth game. And then the last like 4 or 5 minutes, it's like turnover, not getting back on defense, fast break, you know, kind of leaving guys open for three, terrible offensive possessions. I don't know what happened. It wasn't great optics, though. With that being said, absolutely. And here we go, Logan. You're right, because here we go. And I'm so sick that I'm saying this again, but there's no other way for me to say it. I would not want to play anyone else in the first round. I really wouldn't. Yeah. Now, if they come out and lay an egg and suck and lose again, this team, this franchise is just unserious. It's not, it was never meant to be. But previewing all of that, I didn't want to play Philly. I definitely didn't want to play Miami. And if it's a coin flip between Indiana and Orlando, sure, I'm a little bit more thrilled if we play Orlando. We're going to talk about the matchup discussion. And here's the thing, just kind of a little preface. They don't really have any superstars. Like Banchero, yeah, good player. I'm sure he'll be a good player in the league. Does he have a chance for the Hall of Fame? Absolutely. Still a young guy. They don't have a Jalen Brunson from last year. Like, that's your issue with the New York Knicks. Like, Jalen Brunson, I don't think we really knew it last year. He's like a top player in this league. He's like right below the level of Donovan Mitchell, maybe the same. Like, probably closer than a lot of people think. And I know whatever. But he owns him in the playoffs, so whatever. Let's transition even further. Logan, I want to start with you. I'm going to give you 2 talking points as far as this matchup discussion, as far as tweets that I put out this week, early in the week, that I think are intriguing little statistics, factoids, and then I want to hear what you have to bring to the table. So the first thing I want to talk about, this is the biggest thing to me, and I just don't see – there's no excuses if you lose this series. Like, I think we all are on the same page. I think the entirety of the fan base is on that same page. But the more you look into the minute details, you're like, yep, there's 0% chance we should be losing this series. And stuff's going to happen in pro sports, whatever. It's not going to be a 0%, but there's a very low chance that we should be losing this series. And I get it's a 4-5 matchup. Let's start with this one. Cavs playoff experience by minutes played. Now, you got all your individual guys. Yeah, Thompson and Morris, top heavy. Are they really going to be huge contributors? I hear you. We have 9,448 total playoff minutes. The Magic have 4 guys who have played in the playoffs for 2,600, almost 2,700 minutes. That's what I want to start with, kind of keep that in mind while I go over to this one. Now, this is a little bit more interesting because I think the whole thing last year was the height, and we got out rebounding. Their guards are so big, and Josh Hart and all this. So let's move on to how the Magic stack up. And the Jared Allen being 6'9", I didn't know that was going to cause controversy on Twitter, but I just went off ESPN, heights. So here's our starting 5 and their heights, and then this is their projected starting 5. A lot of Magic fans in our mention saying Jonathan Isaac is probably going to start over Carter or whatever. They're both 6'10", 6'11". With these 2 pieces of data being said, go out there. Let's let you go on a rant, go on your tangent. How do you feel about this matchup?
This is the thing. I think it's going to be a lot of ugly basketball, low-scoring games, and that terrifies me because I think, I said this to Jeffrey yesterday on the phone, a low-scoring game anybody can win. If one team is clearly clicking on all cylinders or knocking down 3-pointers, like even when the game starts getting close, you're like, no, but this team's going to start getting hot again. It's going to get out of the way. If neither team really catches a rhythm, anybody can steal it. And that's what's a little bit concerning, because I think there are two teams, two tough-minded defensive squads that are going to lay it all out there. Now, do we maybe have more bucket getters? Possibly. Don't forget about a guy like Cole Anthony on the Orlando bench, by the way. You want to talk X factors for Orlando? That's mine personally. Get into that discussion later. But first of all, I think Jared Allen is 6'9". If you cut off his afro, if you look, I think it was the beginning of the season last year, he didn't have the afro. Or it was still there, but it was a lot smaller. And people on Twitter were saying, why does Jared Allen look shorter? I think he's because he's actually 6'9". He's got a giant wingspan.
He's definitely like
plays bigger.
6'9". He does. His wingspan is huge, but I've seen pictures. I've been looking for a couple pictures, and he's like, there's a couple pictures of him hugging LeBron, and they're like very similar in height. Now, here's what I didn't know, Logan. I guess they remeasured a lot of people in the NBA without shoes on, and that's where like these heights come from. So a lot of stuff is without shoes on, but keep going.
The height discussion is probably a whole podcast at this point, apparently, because the mentions were going crazy. You know what? It doesn't matter. 6'9", 6'11". He plays like a big man. That's all that really matters. I think, again, like last year, we can't get beat on the boards. Simply can't. These guys are going to be attacking the glass. They might even be overzealous, go over your back and stuff like that. But in playoff basketball, they let things go. So this matchup will all come down to physicality. And honestly, last year when we played the Knicks, we didn't really know that was going to be the thing. You know, after one game, we were like, oh, we were totally out physical. But going in, we were like, okay, just keep Brunson in front of you, cut off the head of the snake. Everything else should work out. It was much deeper than that. It's the little things in these series. In these tightly contested defensive-minded series, it comes down to those little things, effort plays, and things of that nature. As far as playoff experience, you know, we talk about how hard it is to adjust to the playoffs, but this Orlando team, while they don't have the experience, they have the right playoff mindset. And that's, I'm playing spoiler to you. And maybe they did think, why do they want to play us? Right. Well, kick your ass. You know, like there could be that aspect and that motivation in their heads. And I do think they have that mindset going in. Can I say one thing about the Cavaliers positively? You know, as frustrating, as baffling, mind-boggling, annoying of a season as it has been, I did tell Jeffrey that somehow I think this team is better prepared. And it's because of guys like Max Strus. You know, a player like that really wants to freaking win. Yes. Ultimate competitor.
And it was there last year in a deep playoff run capacity. Yep.
He was huge for Miami. I think this Cavalier team, I'll forgive a 48-34 season if they come in with the right mindset, because we all said all freaking season, even though we complained every week, we knew the bigger picture was playoffs. Your preseason is over. This is the season. This is where you make your money. This is where you get your contract extensions. This is where you find out the future of your franchise is playoff basketball. So for me, it's staring the Cavaliers dead in the face. 4 seed last year, 4 seed this year. Make up for your mistakes. Can you do that? They're going to be tested. This is not going to be an easy series. It's not going to be for the faint of heart. It's not going to be even a cute, sexy series. This is going to be ugly. And I hope people are ready for that. And in Cleveland, we know a thing or two about just ugly football, ugly basketball, hell, even baseball. We're just really good at base running and making contact hits. We're not doing flashy crap out here. So, you know, you would like to believe this is a Cleveland-type series. I want them to go prove it.
Honestly, let me break it down on paper before I throw it over to you, Justin. Cavs strengths, and I think clear-cut strengths, like you said, Logan. More bucket getters, I think you absolutely give that to us. More playoff experience, just looked at it in the data. Absolutely. JB, better coach than – and there's the thing about the Magic matchup, to kind of go back to I don't really want to play any other team. JB's the clear-cut favorite for the coach here. On paper, are you going to go out and execute? Are you going to go out and have the right rotations? Are you going to go out and make sure the minute share are correct? Are you going to run the right defensive schemes? Are you going to go over screens? Are you going to switch screens? That's all to be determined. But out of everyone else in the East, he is clearly a better coach than Jamal Mosley, or at least has more experience. If you could put all of that into a ball, and then on the other side, the Magic have a little bit more height than us, I'm confident in that dynamic. Now, if we go out and we can't score the basketball and the coach isn't very good, yeah, it's a totally different ball game and series. Justin, big proponent of the rebounding. I feel like me and you have been pounding the table for rebounding for like 3 years on this show. Mobley needs to prioritize rebounding more, just team rebounding, everything in general. Start off for me here. Suggs is 6'5", Harris is 6'4". Whoever plays their three, Banchero or Wagner, either one of them 6'10".
Yeah.
How concerning is that to you?
The height thing is kind of concerning, but more than anything, the reason why I kind of like am suspect of this team is because even though, like Logan said, they don't have a whole lot of bucket getters, they have a whole lot of like Josh Harts. And
Yes.
I think exactly. And that's my thing where it's like Josh Hart isn't like the greatest, I don't even think he's a starter. So, like he's not even like a top tier basketball player, but he has his moments. But the one thing he does consistently is rebound the ball with effort. And I consistently always just question like what the effort is put into us and actually like going after rebounds, because guys like Karis LeVert and guys like Isaac Okoro should all have like at least 6+ rebounds. I don't think that's asking a lot personally. When like you're known for defense and corner threes, that's what you're good for. And then your other guy is like a pound the ball type guy who offensively just doesn't give you a whole lot. So again, why are those two guys not going after rebounds?
Especially before you continue, especially a second half from LeVert, where how many times was it like he's flirting with a triple double, or he has 7 or 8 or 9 rebounds? Perfect point.
And Jeff, going back to you last year, like, again, I hate to say it, but like, again, he's one of those guys who's going to make this team either be a playoff winner or a playoff loser, because if he has games where he's like, if he's like 10-5-5 or 10-5-6, something like that, I'm realistically not too upset. Like, I'm hoping other guys around them have played well and everything, scoring wise and whatnot. I know people think of Karis as like a big scorer and everything, but that's not naturally what I think of him. So if he turns into an all-arounder like Max Strus did the other night, I'd be super happy. And that's a huge proponent of like what's going to happen in this series. Now, there's a lot to talk about and I just keep going back to the Knicks series. Jeff made the amazing point about head coaching where it's like, yeah, at this point, like, and it's tough to give it to JV because he has no reputation for winning in the playoffs, but at the same time, neither does Murray. So I'm sitting here and I'm just saying, like, yes, we're going to have the coaching edge, but at the same time, the players that we have from last year to this year are significantly better or defined in their roles, which is something I like pounded the table on. Like, I feel like Max Strus is a guy that they're going to consistently try to get like at least 5 attempts early on in the games every time, because their backup plan is going to be now Mitchell instead of that being like the primary plan where it's just like Mitchell. Now you can go to different guys. If Darius continues his offensive struggles in the from the regular seasons, then yeah, at least you have a Max Strus this time. Jared Allen playing some of the best basketball he has. And a lot of things that kind of go under the wayside with this team is that I think we're one of the best passing teams. I don't know what the statistics are on that, but the way our bigs pass, the way our guards pass, the way everyone kind of just gets involved is pretty impressive from my standpoint. And I'm hoping that that continues to kind of like mislead a team like the Magic, who are like, all right, we have a bunch of mismatch guys, but they have Donovan Mitchell, So hopefully they focus in a little bit and they're kind of taking, shots at him while other guys are excelling and hopefully having good games and whatnot.
And honestly, that just kind of moves me into our next segment here. And as far as there's still some question marks, which is really just the unfortunate part. Everyone's going to be banged up this time of the year to some degree or another. But is Dean Wade available for the series? I think that is pretty much close to no. Hope to be surprised, but he's a 6'7", 6'8", 6'9" guy.
I believe he's 6'10".
So, that's kind of a big piece of height missing. Interesting. Sam Merrill's been, not really the healthiest down the stretch here. Obviously, you still have Donovan Mitchell potentially with nagging injuries. I mean, he's definitely looked improved as far as some of these last games here. You have Mobley with 2 lower body injuries that, Who knows if that could linger, whatever you're playing playoff minutes. I'm not saying there's none of these are excuses. I'm just telling the audience out there and the fans of both sides of the reality of the situation. With that being said, let's talk X factors. I'm going to go really quick. Then I want to go to Logan. Then I want to go to Justin. Then we'll do series predictions. We'll go on our way. I'm going to say this, and I had a feeling it was going to come down to this because I feel like this is a guy that has kind of gotten some flack from us ever since we've drafted him. And most recently, especially last year, someone who hasn't really, didn't even really play that much. But my X factor as far as this series, someone who, like I said, didn't play that much in last year's playoff series is Isaac Okoro. Now, bench player, I think you're going to have good bench play to win any playoff series. So that's a given. That's number one. Number two, good defensive success against Banchero. He's going to be their number one option. If other guys are beating you and Banchero shut down, I feel like that's probably the best case scenario you could go for here with us. The biggest point. Can Okoro make enough plays offensively for JB to keep him out there? If he comes into a game, and I think that JB, like Logan talked about earlier and in previous episodes, like I think that Dean Wade being hurt actually kind of helps JB because he has to play Okoro. He pretty much has to play him. Because if Okoro goes out there and is 0 for 3 from his first 3-pointers, is it going to be panic mode? Like we're getting him out like Marcus Morris season, whatever. Or if he just looks like a fish out of water offensively, and then he comes off the court, Banchero, kind of has free reign to roam. It's going to be interesting. But this was a guy who last year, he only played 75 minutes in those 5 games. So not like a huge bulk of playing time. 15 minutes a game on average. Not like he was a huge contributor and out there a lot. I think he is the two-way player that we need to have the most success this series. And I'm not saying Strus can't do it. I'm not saying Strus could have good stretches defensively where he's, shooting the lights out. I'm not saying Sam Merrill can't go out there and not be a total, liability on defense and give, 12, 15, 18 points on any given night. They could. But at the same time, all 3 of these guys could, drop the ball or their shots aren't falling. That's kind of the archetype of their game. With that being said, Logan, with special guests back.
Moondog.
Who's your X factor?
So I think plain and simple, all season I'd always said Karis LeVert. And I'm not going to go with Karis LeVert right now. I want to change it up. I could say a big because we know how big it was last year. And to be quite honest, our bigs looked like little boys last year. I mean, it did not work, but I think they're going to have the right attitude. It's DG the PG. If we get Darius Garland, not even playing all-star minutes, but a guy who can play clean basketball, knock down 3-pointers, get guys involved, we should win the series in 5. The reason I don't think we're winning 5 is because I have to see it from DG, and it's hard for me to say that he's going to start playing really good basketball as playoff time arrives. But game 2 last year against New York, Garland played terrific. Game 3, third quarter, he came out of that second half with 5 assists, 7 points. We took over that game and things are looking good. And then he kind of disappears a bit and goes away. Lose that game, and I think the series pretty much is determined. I guess that was game 4, actually. But I just think Darius Garland, I think the world of him, I always have. He's frustrated the living daylights out of me this year. But if he can turn in a playoff performance, a lot can be forgiven. And I tell you what, confidence, I told you this all season, he's a confidence player. Nothing could get his confidence up like having a great playoff series and leading this team, being the quarterback for this team. He has the capability. It's there somewhere. We've seen it. So bring it out in the biggest moment. And this team is in good shape. When Darius Garland is right, so are the Cavaliers.
Absolutely can't argue with that. So we got Okoro, we got DG, Justin. Do we have 3 different people here?
Logan stole mine, so I'm gonna have to audible real quick. But I do.
You can say DG. I mean, it's fair.
Well, I'm just gonna echo that. I do believe what Logan said is he is very much a kind of what was the word you used exactly, Logan? Not like a rhythm. Not a rhythm
quarterback.
Oh, confidence player.
A confidence player, yeah. Sorry, I thought it was like rhythm confidence, but I totally agree with that point because I think if his confidence is kind of like that joyful, upbeat, what we've seen in the past when he gets hot, even if he's not like hot, but he hits his first 2 shots, which I think has been not a thing that's happened in a while, and he's feeling himself like his first 2 deep shots or something, and he's feeling it. My biggest thing with this is I think it feels throughout the team like everyone just gets going, like everyone rolls with him, and that's why we've always kind of talked about how like at times if he could get it down, like we could see that guy that we signed to the max. But all for the sake of keeping it different and whatnot, and I had it in my head pre-planned. Jared Allen is going to be my other X factor, just because again, I think he knows what he did to himself in the sense of saying what he said last year. And I think he had probably a better season than he did last year. And maybe if you want to argue, like the latter half of it was even better than his all-star year. So I think he's playing phenomenally well. I think he's been probably, like Jeff has talked about, like the most consistent player on the Cavs team through and through this season. I'm just going to roll with the fact that I think he's going to come out and he's probably going to be like, who knows, regardless of points, but he's going to be like that rebound monster that we just kind of needed. So I'll go with that as my 1B.
Perfect.
1A and 1B.
I'm going to take my 1A.
I'm so sorry. I knew you were going to go DG. But I had a better
I always do.
DG.
I always do.
It's just like one of those things where
I won't for the next round if we make it there.
The playoffs the complimentary basketball is just so important in the playoffs. And can't be stressed enough. We're going to talk about it all week. But before we wrap up here, most important thing of them all, what you guys have been waiting for out there watching the video, which we do appreciate. If you made it this far, hit the like button, subscribe, comment down below. Cavs basketball back in the land. As far as the regular season, predictions are finalized. Predictions are in. I'm not like a pat myself on the back.
Oh,
like,
good job, Jeff.
I'm not a huge fan of that, but look at this absolute masterclass. 51-31. We also made preseason predictions for the full record.
In a season that was impossible to predict, too, being
500. I said 49-33 and 4th in the East. So only 2 games off only one game off our actual record. So, and
if they didn't quit in the Charlotte game, you would have had it.
I know that's actually that's the craziest part. But however, here's your final, standings here. Not the best year for Logan coming in the basement.
Good work.
Thank you.
Two
And Justin,
at least you dethrone Logan. Yeah, I do what I do every year. I get off to a good start and I fucking blow it.
You could win. You could win a year with that type of record though.
Christ.
47-36.
Yeah, 47 wasn't bad.
But regular season's over. Doesn't matter anymore. 0-0. Even I love it when I type in Cavs Magic schedule and it pops up on Google. It says Magic 0-0, Cavs 0-0.
Yes.
Love that. Great little feature. Obviously, it's the playoff, wins for the playoff series. But I'm gonna start because I want it all, and I don't have like a great feeling like either way. It's the 4-5 matchup. Like, do I want to say the Cavs come out, take care of business, win in 5 games, sweep them? I would absolutely love to be able to say that. I cannot, but I do agree with Logan. I do think we win this series. And I know there's bad historical data to back this up. We're at home last year, same scenario, similar situation. Is the matchup the same? I don't think totally, but there are some glaring similarities. I'm going to say Cavs in 7. I think it takes all 7 games. And if they win in less, I would love to be wrong. Is anyone feeling like about going next?
I'm going Cavs, Magic, Cavs. 4-1.
Cavs, Magic.
Cavs in 5.
Cavs in 5.
Okay.
And my biggest thing is why? I believe that just top to bottom, we are better in every major category that I can think of outside of maybe like percentages and whatnot. That being said, do I believe that every team in the playoffs kicks it into another level? Yes, absolutely. Do I believe that we have something to prove 100%.
Yes.
I think the Magic are just playing with house money and are probably just like, yeah, we're here. We need the experience. Let's give them everything we have. But at the same time, like, this is a Cavs team that has pieces that should not allow them to hang around that much.
Fair enough.
Hold on, my dog is freaking.
Sneezing.
She's just ridiculous.
So we have
Oh,
Cavs in 7, Cavs in 5. Look, are you
Gentlemen-
going to be the contrarian? Are you saying Orlando wins this series?
No, I'm not going to, because at the end of the day, we cover the Cavs. We have to have confidence that our team is going to figure this out and is gonna make up for some wrongs last year. This is the way I look at it. Game 1 is bigger than most series. Sometimes you can lose game 1, make up for it, you steal one back at the other place. I think game 1 determines the winner, to be quite frank. I think if the Cavaliers drop game 1 and they're playing from behind early, Magic have some confidence. They host a playoff series in a 1-1 thing, and they've been waiting for. I mean, the Magic have been to the playoffs. I'm not saying they haven't been in a long time, but I'm saying like this is kind of like we're a 5 seed. We're on the rise. This is a team that has a lot of excitement around them. We're young. We're ready to go. If you go to Orlando in a 1-1 series, especially losing game 1, for some reason there's just something about that. The winner has to determine it from the tip of game 1, and I think the Cavs will win game 1. I think the Cavs will lose game 2. They will then lose game 3, win 4 and 5 and 6. I'm going Cavs in 6.
Okay, so we got 5,
I think
6,
a
and
slow
7.
start, adjustments will be made, and ultimately the Cavaliers will prevail in Orlando.
Fair enough. Justin, you look like are you okay? Is everything all right?
I saw something that has a little bit to do with the Cavs from Chris Fedor, and it's not really involved with what we're talking about. So I don't know if it's something I want to mention on air or off air.
Fair enough.
It's not huge or like breaking news or nothing. Though.
Okay, we'll talk about it after.
Yeah,
We'll talk.
yeah.
But I saw the reaction. Here's the last thing. I'm going to wrap up here. Then we're going to sign off. Like I said, thanks for everyone watching. It's been a long season. You know, everyone who's been here, couldn't say thank you enough. But we got Cavs in 5, Cavs in 6, Cavs in 7. I'm going to say this, and I don't know if people are going to talk about this a lot this week, because I'll say it and I'll reiterate it. I'll tweet it out probably too. A huge difference from this series versus last year is geography. You have, and I'm not saying you didn't last year, but you have true home games this year. New York, the fans from New York were at Rocket Mortgage Fieldhouse. Orlando people are not going to be in a volume like that, you know, at our home court this year. So you got the fans behind you. You got game 1 at home. Totally agree with Logan. Actually, I'll second him. Winner of game 1 wins the whole series. Hope you guys enjoyed all the content today. Pretty good episode. I think we, put it all together in a nice, neat little bow. Cavs Magic, game number 1, April 20th, this Saturday. Lock in. It's going to be a crazy series. The back and forth should be pretty epic. With that being said, we appreciate you being the pulse of it all.